What's up, everyone? I'm OK Miller, and this is OK Coincidence.
Do 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 do. Okay, coincidence.
For this episode of OK Coincidence, we're going to be talking about some historical events that happened at or around the same time. I've got my handy dandy notes book, and let's get started. So, our first set of historical events that happened on or around the same time might surprise you. It is about Star Wars and the guillotine. Yes, you heard me right. The guillotine that was first used in, 1792 in France has a deadly connection to Star Wars. When the first Star Wars movie, Star Wars A New Hope, came out in May of 1977, executions by guillotine still happened in France. Yeah, you could still get beheaded in France when the Star Wars movie came out in 1977. Isn't that so crazy? According to the BBC, the last beheading occurred 4 months later in September of 1977. And roughly 4 years later, the death penalty in France was outlawed altogether. So, how old do you think Nintendo is? 80 years? 100 years? Try 135. That's right. Did you know when the Japanese company Nintendo launched 135 years ago, they were investigating Jack the Ripper about 8,500 miles away in England? Yeah, Nintendo, Jack the Ripper, crazy connection. So Nintendo was founded on September 23rd, 1889. The same year, the infamous serial killer was on the loose in England. Back then, Nintendo obviously didn't sell video games. There was no Switch, there was no Legend of Zelda, there was no Mario, but what they did sell was handmade Hanafuda cards. And I've actually played Hanafuda. It's like a really fun card game that there are like apps and stuff you can buy or download. You don't have to buy them if you don't want to. But yeah, so when Nintendo was founded back in 1889, that same year, they were investigating Jack the Ripper in England. Wild. And now Nintendo sells video games based on Jack the Ripper among their ever-growing and ever-expanding catalog of video games and gaming consoles. So there's that. And our last set of historical events that took place at or around the same time absolutely blew my mind. Are you ready for this? When you hear woolly mammoths, what comes to mind? The Ice Age? Those big hairy elephants? Yeah, these now extinct animals first roamed the earth hundreds of thousands of years ago, roughly 300,000 years ago. But their connection with humans started around 20,000 years ago. While most woolly mammoths died off around 10,000 years ago, the last known group that survived were actually around when the pyramids at Giza were being built. Yes, you heard me correctly. So the last known group of woolly mammoths actually didn't die off, and mammoths didn't actually fully go extinct until about 1,000 years after the pyramids were built. What? That is insane. And I looked it up. Okay, so it says that mammoths were alive when the pyramids were being built and survived until around 1650 BC. Yeah, BC. And that was around 3,600 years ago. Over 3,000 years ago, almost 4,000. Isn't that insane? So we've got recap, Star Wars and the guillotine. People were still being beheaded in France when Star Wars A New Hope came out in 1977. Nintendo was founded the same year that Jack the Ripper was running amok in, oh my God, what's it called? In England? I forgot. And woolly mammoths were still around when the pyramids at Giza were being built. Absolutely wild. This okay coincidence, I wanted it to be kind of like a short, sweet, boop, 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 kind of a video. Obviously I had to take a little break. I'm back. Let me know what other coincidences I should talk about in my next video, if you know of any. I have a list that I am compiling, but I would love to hear what events that you've heard of that occurred at or around the same time. And check out the first episode about Miss Unsinkable, Miss Violet Jessup. That was a wild story. And yeah, I'm OK Miller. This has been OK Coincidence, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.